Okay, welcome everyone to the session of Pillar 4 on integrating cybersecurity in development assistance programs. This session is hosted by the World Bank in cooperation with the Ghana Cybersecurity Authority. So welcome, Dr. Albert. Very pleased to work with you on this session. And this is actually a special session of the conference, since we will be launching our new publication, which was a joint product of the Ghana Cybersecurity Authority and the World Bank Digital Development Team. We just finalized it a week ago, so it's a brand new practitioner note, as we call it, which you can access online, but we also have quite a few copies here, so feel free to take a copy at the end of the session. But we will shortly present some takeaways, key takeaways. Dr. Albert will hopefully share his thoughts on that. So we have a very impressive panel, global, very diverse group of experts, our very distinguished country partners representing most of the continents, most of the parts of the world. So we have time zones ranging from the Pacific to Latin America. And I'll briefly introduce the panel before we start the discussion. My name is Oleg Petrov. I'm a Senior Digital Development Specialist at the World Bank Global Digital Development Practice. And I'll be moderating today. Thank you for being with us. I know it's session after lunch is always difficult, but I'm particularly grateful for that. So we have, as I said, a very distinguished set of panelists. I will first introduce Dr. Albert Antwi Boisiako, who will provide a short opening keynote and present the takeaways from the joint case study. Dr. Albert is Director General for Ghana Cybersecurity Authority and is our host at this conference. So thank you so much, Dr. Albert, for great hosting of this event. We're very fortunate to have this event hosted in Ghana. It's the first event of its kind, and we believe that this is a great success. Thank you so much. So we have another speaker who will do the closing remarks is Anat Lewin, who is my colleague, who is a global lead for cybersecurity at the World Bank, and she would, at the part of the closing, share some of the thinking within the World Bank on the way forward and how development community can support our country partners on this agenda, and including the World Bank. So we have our distinguished panelists also from Sierra Leone. Mariama Yorma is a coordinator for National Cybersecurity Coordination Center. So Mariama, welcome. We have Andrew Toimoana, who is from Tonga, and he's a director of the Digital Transformation Department for the Prime Minister's Office, Government CIO for Tonga. Welcome, Andrew. And we also have Mr. Tauidur Rahman, who leads e-government CERT in Bangladesh. And he's the Chief Information Security Officer, who is also our key country partner for many years. And last but not least, we have Carlos Leonardo from Dominican Republic, who is the director of the National CSERT. So as you can see, it's a very diverse, very distinguished group of cyber leaders from all over the world. And I would shortly pass the floor to Dr. Albert for his short keynote. Just wanted to say a few remarks to explain the context and a bit the format. So after the keynote remarks, we'll have 2 rounds of questions for the panelists. It will be very short, lightning questions and answers. We'll have a 3-minute for each answer. And then, as I said, Anat will do the closing remarks. If time allows, I hope we will be efficient enough to have a couple of questions from the audience. So please, be prepared, and you can always ask your questions after the panel. We'll be here to discuss can you follow up? So just to, again, I would like to explain the drivers of the session. As you know, the cybersecurity agenda, and in the last 2 days we have heard so many passionate speeches about it, has become a very mainstream part of development. And one of the objectives and outcomes of this conference is to solidify that trend and to really connect the two communities, right? So within the World Bank, we see that very clearly. Our cybersecurity practice is growing. Our portfolio is growing. As was mentioned by my colleagues, we have $250 million investment in cybersecurity activities. We have multiple analytical knowledge products underway, which reflect this growing trend of mainstreaming cybersecurity development. I already mentioned the new case study on Ghana, a cybersecurity journey, which you can learn more about today on it. So there are multiple such activities which we are conducting both at the global level and at the country level. So today we would like to discuss with our country partners what has worked really well in the prioritizing and mainstreaming cyber in development projects, including digital development projects. What are the emerging trends and needs and priorities for the next stage of cooperation? Many countries have created CERTs, national CERTs. We've had several sessions at the conference about it, and our country partners are also very actively building the CERTs, and World Bank has been supporting them. Bangladesh, I think, is a very good example, and so is the Dominican Republic, where we have CERTs supported by the World Bank, among others. And we see that as a very important activity for our partners. But increasingly, we see many countries setting up national cyber agencies as next generation of institutionalization of cybersecurity leadership and governance institutions. So we see a lot of countries, including developing countries, establishing these agencies. We have a great example here in Ghana, which Albert will hopefully share about. We also have such agency in Bangladesh, and I know that Sierra Leone is also building such an agency, which Mariama will share. So it's a next level of maturity of cybersecurity institutions. So I would like to discuss, among other things, how this has been growing in importance, what role these institutions have played. And last but not least, I want to also touch upon what are the alternative, lower cost, complementary activities in addition to developing those agencies which can really make a difference for increasing cybersecurity maturity. So, so we look forward to ideas and good practice in that regard. So without further ado, I would like to pass the floor to Dr. Antwi Boisiako, Director General of Ghana Cybersecurity Authority, and to launch our new joint publication. Over to you.
Very well. A pleasant afternoon to all of you, and thank you, our partners, the World Bank, my colleagues here, especially the only lady among us from Sierra Leone, for joining us for this conversation, but all of you as well for deciding to sit in this conversation. I think ours, first of all, is appreciation to our development partners. The challenges we face within the cyber environment cannot be handled individually. You need partnership, but not just any partnership. You do need partnership that you can work together to deliver results. And I think we're here to showcase such partnership. But permit me to recognize some few people here that we started. I've seen two. It's a journey, it has been a journey, and getting to this level means we work with some few people. The records which you have, we'll have a project by name Ghana project. I wasn't around. I wasn't actually in the country. I was living somewhere when that project started. That was 2006. But I've seen a colleague who was part of this process from that time. Mr. Eric Akumia, if you are here, let's see you. Please, if you can clap, all of you, for that gentleman for me. It's one person. Olive, if you don't mind, let me stretch a little bit so I can see some faces that are hidden. He's one person who was at the center when ad hoc cybersecurity measures were being developed. I think I term my tenure as institutionalization of Ghana's cybersecurity development. And the reason means that few things were being done, scattered across. But looking into the future, that was certainly not a sustainable model. And I think Oleg wanted me to show how did we come about establishing an authority. So I need to recognize that things were being done. I think even earlier, I think ITU collaborated briefly with the Ministry on national asset activities and others. But there's another colleague who was also in the picture. US government, again, as part of those measures, bilateral ad hoc measures, US government also supported the Security Governance Initiative. And Ken, who has switched from cyber to narcotics. He's my colleague, the Director General of Ghana's Narcotics Agency, but he was part of that process. May we also see you, Ken? But today is not narcotics, right? We're doing cyber. That aside, I think our story is a story of a journey of determination. It didn't happen just by chance. And it's a journey of determination means that you move even when you haven't seen funding. That's a determination. I think that's a challenge. People crossing. My experience in the public sector, especially in a development context, you can easily justify not to work, not to do anything as long as funds have not been made what? Available. Ladies and gentlemen, I keep on saying this. Leadership is the cause. And what? Everything else is what? Effect. And I think most of my colleagues are aware when this government started the journey to consolidate Ghana's cybersecurity, there wasn't a single budget. The e-transform project was entirely allocated to digital, and digital doesn't include cybersecurity. It took the leadership of Mrs. Eslo Usuekufu to allocate 5 million of that project to cybersecurity. It wasn't a smooth decision. And I'm saying anybody at all could have justified. The money given by the World Bank is not meant for what? Cybersecurity. We keep on hearing that in the development context. We do. When government, when leaders don't want to what? Take action, they can easily find that excuse. But thankfully we had a leader, and that's why I made that statement, who said, no, it can't be possible that you put this whole money into ICT project without the cybersecurity component. That was how the journey of World Bank supported Ghana's cybersecurity development support. So it wasn't something that was programmed, it was a decision. And that's why I'm attributing this to leadership. So when you read this brief and somebody is talking about political commitment, it's not politics to say, it's leadership. I have close to 7 years of experience in public sector, and I think I have it right. At least I understand how leadership in the public sector works. It takes a bold decision for a minister who owns policy to say, look, where we have gotten to. So if Ghana has achieved some modest success, I think I need to recognize where that decision started. And thankfully, we also had a partner who understands. We've also worked with certain partners that whatever they think we should do is what we should do. These are the lessons for all of us, both sides. And I think those of us operating within the international space, we do. Oh, this is what our program is funding. That is fine. But have you considered the priorities of what? Of the beneficiary country. So we also have examples where sometimes I think the partners are a little bit, oh, but this is the money, it has been discussed already, allocated for this. Is that really the priority of the host country? Thankfully, we had a World Bank who also understood that the minister was making a good point, and that we cannot just spend this money without its allocation into cybersecurity. We didn't start Cybersecurity Authority from day one, and that is why I want to encourage all of you. It's a journey, I did mention. I was appointed as advisor. An advisor, also another lesson. I think Oleg wanted me to share some lessons. We've seen government advisors. They are advisors whose advice only comes from their heads, and then they write it for government. In fact, nobody sees. It's confidential, isn't it? That is not the Ghanaian approach of advising. We constituted from day one of my appointment what we called the National Cybersecurity Technical Working Group, representing agencies whose mandate borders on cybersecurity. From day one, when I was appointed the National Cybersecurity Advisor, that body was inaugurated. So Albert and Chibosiak, you are advising the government, but collectively you are drawing the wisdom, the brains of this body. That is Ghana's story. It wasn't just one person sitting down, submitting brief to government. No, we open up. We brought this institution together. As we speak, Ghana has got the Cybersecurity Act, Section 13. We have legislated this body. And I think when you get a copy of this brief, you see the body enshrined in law. It started from day one of my appointment. Therefore, it served us, right from day one, the quality and the inclusiveness of the advice that you are giving to the government was key. That is how we started, not just one person. Again, it's leadership question here. I've seen people who have been, even in corporate, I am the advisor, and the advice comes from their own reading and thinking, and it drops on the minister's desk. We opted for a different approach because cybersecurity, I recognize quickly, in terms of Ghana's institutional arrangement, there are multiple institutions. For example, we have a criminal investigation department. It had responsibility on investigating cybercrime. We have organized EOCO, Economic and Organized Crime Office. They deal with organized crime. I think most of us will appreciate that in this age, every organized crime will have element of what? Cyber. We have the Financial Intelligence Center, the ones that you may call FIU in your country. To deal with money laundering, but money laundering is, we're using what? Network system. We have the National Communications Authority. Their mandate also borders on. So when you have institutional arrangement, which is very much similar to most of the countries, not just in the global south, but most countries, the approach that you adopt is quite key. There were gaps, obviously, that needed to be filled because there were also fights. Okay, I'm this agency, I need to deal with cyber crime, cyber security, another agency. Ghana was smart. It did not take the mandate of each one of them, which are enshrined in law, and perfectly they are working. But it had to set up an agency that has to function. You lead, but you carry all the other agencies along. That's the interpretation. Thankfully, I led the passage of the law, so I'm giving a context. Every law has, the spirit and the letter. The lawyers say that. So the whole idea is, why are you taking Yoko's mandate from them? No, it's not. It's not wise, because they're still handling organized crime. And in the future, the cyber will still be an element of what? The work they do. But you don't also want to allow this fight, especially the agencies that have money or want to bully what? The other ones. Oh, do they have money? That's the language in the public sector in our context. It's not about money. It's about a forward-thinking approach. If we just rely on money, and most public sector institutions decide on money where they have funds, yes, that may be at that material point in time, but that's not wise enough. From the Ghanaian perspective, respectfully, again, we were looking more into the future, that you are transforming. The data shows that the digital indicators are showing the growing trend of what? Digital transformation. And if inevitably you are going to have cyber attacks and cyber crime emanating from this development, therefore we're looking ahead. Create a body. It is going to lead overall cybersecurity, but the law should work in such a way that it is carrying everybody along. That is how we started establishing the bank connection. Is having a partner which at every point in time will understand this thinking of the country and supporting that decision along the way. I think that has led to what we've done. And I think the success, again, if you take the political commitment, the success of our work is ability for these agencies to work together. I think that is it. It's not really a certain man in Ghana who is doing well in cybersecurity. Sometimes I'm giving the credit, I think, wrongly. I don't deserve it. The real lessons are the political leadership and the fact that we have a functioning. I think I'm proud to say Ghana has internal functioning institutional arrangement to deal with cybercrime and cybersecurity. That is the lessons I wish all of us to learn. It's not an individual. Certainly you need champion. No doubt about it. At every point in time, you need a champion, somebody who will say, well, we've got to get this thing done. That the personal grandiosis, I'm advisor, I'm this. You lower it. You drop it. Because if you don't drop it, you won't also get anybody to support you. I think these are not tangible, but important elements that we need to look at it. But I will conclude by saying leadership is the cause. Everything else is effect. Thank you very much. I think at this point, maybe I've been given opportunity for us, Ghana and our World Bank partners, to formally outdoor this document that we've worked on together. I think it tells the story of the journey that I just gave a little bit of highlights. Where we started. Annette, you need to join me. You can't just be the photographer alone. Somebody probably may help that. I think this documents our work over the past 5 years. And I think it may serve as a good, not just history, but also some critical pointers, especially as many of you are also on your journey. I know the challenge is still there. We still have bodies that regulate ICT, and telecoms also handle cybersecurity. Sometimes I'm approached, Albert, how do we? I say, hey, don't go fighting. You lose. I think we are all navigating along the way, and this will certainly serve as a valuable lesson. But of course, for the World Bank partner nations, I do believe the bank has also adopted an approach from the Ghana's experience, and they will be able to assist you and help you navigate and build an institution that will be responsive and able to deal with the current issues, but also in the future. Thank you very much. And we duly, let's hold it together. We duly launch the resource notes, which highlights the Ghana's working relationship with the World Bank. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I just wanted also to emphasize, to recognize my colleague Ghislaine, who was the main author of this note, please. If you just I hope you enjoy it. It's a fun reading, so I highly engaging note. I just wanted to emphasize the role of leadership. Absolutely. Now, from day one, when digital just started 20 years ago, we knew that it will be the #1 critical success factor, and it was. Absolutely. And some people said that we have multiple factors, and they're all zeros. But if you don't have one, which is leadership at the beginning, it all remains zero. So it has to start with leadership. And thank you for highlighting that today again. And okay, on this note, thank you for raising the bar for the rest of the panel. I would like to pass the floor to our very distinguished partner from Sierra Leone, Mariama Yorma, as I said, who leads the National Cybersecurity Coordination Center, which was established recently in Sierra Leone. And I would like Mariama to start with a couple of questions. Just refresh my memory. So Mariama, Sierra Leone is creating this new cybersecurity agency, which will also host this CERT. And would you like to reflect on how Sierra Leone has been utilizing the development assistance to support the establishment of this agency? And also, could you shed some light, what led to a decision to establish a standalone national agency, and how this will contribute to strengthening Sierra Leone's cyber resilience? Thank you. Please keep it short, 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Oleg. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. For us, our cybersecurity journey started in 2018. There was a change in administration. And then we were opportune at that particular time to be in such a forum, such as this one. And at that time, it was organized by the African Union, and it was organized in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. We attended with the minister at that time. And so after a series of engagement, bilateral meetings, meeting with a whole lot of stakeholders, we had like the political buy-in, we had like the leadership. He saw the need to say, okay, there is a need in Sierra Leone, and as a nation, if we need to do something, we need to make sure that we build a cybersecurity resilience. So no sooner we got back, it was like we had to develop the cabinet paper, took the cabinet paper to like cabinet, because just as Dr. Albert attested, it's not something that you need a champion, obviously, but you need to make sure that you carry everybody along. So after a whole lot of debate and everything, we had like the political leadership right at the cabinet and even at the presidential level. So there was obviously the need for us to be able to like set things forward, because we were seeing like a whole lot of cybercrime issues. At that time, the government wanted to leverage on digital transformation for us to be able to see how we'll be able to move the country to the next level. So that was how we got there. And then based on the partnership that we got to do in forums such as this one, we met with the Council of Europe, and the Council of Europe was able to like support us in terms of developing the Cybersecurity and Crime Act of 2021. We also became part of the GFC, where we were able to meet like with the World Bank, we were able to meet with GPD and a whole lot of other key stakeholders. It was at one of that particular meeting that we had like support from GDP, and we were able to like develop a cybersecurity strategy and also review our cybersecurity policy, which were very key for us. But in terms of all of those things, we made sure that it's not something that like one individual will do. We had like a multi-stakeholder approach in terms of we had bring all the key stakeholders together, we discussed, these are the gaps, how will we be able to build a system and things of the sort. In terms of the governance level, I'll be outright with you. It was not something that was easy, because based on the fact that it's cybersecurity, you have the security sector thinking that it is a mandate. And then obviously we all know that even though like it's cybersecurity, but it is, it's something that affects the technological sphere as well. So there was a whole lot of back and forth and things of the sort. We had to have like a meeting with His Excellency, the President. That time, there was the political leadership. He was willing for everything. And so he stated that, okay, for us to be able to develop it as a nation, for us to be able to make sure that we handle all the issues and make sure we bring everybody along, we need to make sure we have the National Cybersecurity Agency, something outside the ministry, even though supervised by the ministry, and then something that the public can relate with, the private sector can relate with, because when it comes to cybersecurity, it's a whole lot of trust building. And so that was it. And then we had like the advisory council being headed by the Honorable Vice President, providing like the strategic leadership. And at that point, you have different political, it is a cross-cutting advisory council ranging from the Ministry of Finance at the ministerial level, the Ministry of Defense, the Attorney General, and a whole lot of others. So one thing I got throughout our entire journey was the fact that because when the World Bank came in, they came in terms of like how they will be able to support us with a $50 million project in terms of Sierra Leone digital transformation project. And then at that time, we had like a clear map where we want to go. We had a strategy in place. So it made it easier for us to plunge into the support that's been provided. Because for whatever digital transformation that's been done, if cybersecurity is not supported, that money at the end of the day will just be a waste. So it was really nice that we had all of those things. And so before I will just conclude this one thing I mean, for us, what has helped us a whole lot is one, the political leadership. The political leadership supported because initially there was a whole lot of resistance, even when it comes to the enactment of the Cybersecurity Crime Act, a whole lot of resistance from the CSO and a whole lot of things. So like there was that willingness, okay, where in terms of even building the trust, in terms of people to understand what is actually happening. So the political leadership is one, and then having like a situation, you know where you are, you know where you want to go. It makes it easier for you to get support from development partners. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mariama. If I may ask a follow-up question before we move to the next speaker. In terms of the next stage, like now that you're building this new agency, new center, what do you see as a top priority where development partners can support you? For example, we recently worked with you on this sectoral cybersecurity maturity assessment, right, which exposed a lot of maybe gaps and potential areas for action in terms of digital infrastructure, right? So maybe you came across some ideas which you wanted to implement as the next stage.
The assessment was really good because just as I clearly stated, we had a strategy. Because for us in the developing countries, in terms of funding, it's a little bit limited. And so you have to be able to see, okay, what are the priority areas, even though we have a whole lot of things that need to be done, but what can we do now? And then what can we do later on? So having the assessment helps us a whole lot because we're able to prioritize, okay, these are the immediate things that need to be handled. For instance, we had like, there obviously needs to be like the assessment. We need to identify all our critical information infrastructure and then be able to develop concrete plans for them at the national level and also even moving on to the sectorial level. It clearly also showed that there needs to be like awareness raising. Not just awareness raising for the public sector, but even for CII owners, for the aged, for children, and everything of the sort. And it's another thing it shows was that like the lack of capacity within the country and how we'll be able to strengthen that. One thing I'm happy about is because like from the Sierra Leone Digital Transformation Project, the World Bank is supporting us with about $2 million for that one. And so we are able to see, okay, now the World Bank is supporting us with making sure that our critical information infrastructure have been protected. We do have like, because for us, we're thinking about sustainability. It's not just about doing one thing. We do something and then it's one-off. Having like an awareness raising strategy, targeting key thematic areas, and having the strategy, then we'll be able to see, okay, we'll be able to implement the strategy. And then when it comes to the skills, because our goal actually is for us to be able to see, okay, how will we be able to have like the experts that we need in cybersecurity within the country, and not just within the country, but at least we see like the huge gap that we have when it comes to cybersecurity, and some of those people can even be shipped out and things of the sort. So we are developing a strategy with the World Bank as well, developing a skill strategy. We will do an assessment first. What are the gaps? And then what skills are needed, and then based on that, we'll be able to see how we'll be able to implement it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Maria. I think now that we've covered Africa, we have two very interesting and complementary perspectives from Africa. I would like to move far east, all the way to the Pacific region, and we have with us Andrew Moana, who is the government CIO and director of the Prime Minister Digital Transformation Office. So I would like to ask Andrew. I mean, given that you represent the Pacific Islands here, and Tonga in particular, and they have a very unique context, being very small, remote, islands. What are the unique challenges which you are facing in terms of increasing cybersecurity resilience and protecting your critical infrastructure? What are you facing, and how have you been able to use development assistance to meet those challenges? And what do you see as like the next generation issues you need help with? Like where do you require support from the development community? Over.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Kana for a great accomplishment that they have gone through in this journey. And just like Sierra Leone, the experience with the journey that we have here in Tonga, our journey with the cybersecurity started to accelerate when we landed our fiber optics cable in the country back in 2013. And the government at that time realized that there is a great needs for Tonga to prepare in the space of cybersecurity, because we are just opening up a highway for the government to use. So at that time, we were, of course, it's the same as everyone else in the region. We were very scarce in resources. And for those of you who are not well aware of the context of the Pacific Islands, in most of the Pacific Islands, or maybe all of them, we have more ocean than the land. And we have more islands scattered. And the only way we communicate is, or travel is through using boat or airplane to travel to. Unlike in most countries where you can travel by land. However, because of this experience that in the journey that we embark on with introducing the internet connectivity, and also looking at the possibility of deploying a lot more services online, and the emphasis of getting a cybersecurity in place strategy. So within that context, the World Bank came on board, and we were looking at different aspects of cybersecurity, of where we're going to start and how we're going to implement that. And one of the things that we were looking at as we started our journey with the e-government project is to focus on how can we empower and strengthen our security, looking at the different resources that we have was not enough, especially with our human resources. So the first things that the government had to establish was our Tonga National CERT, with the intention that we're going to provide awareness program to the public so they can be aware of the risks that maybe lie ahead and the threats that might be introducing through the new technology introduced to the government and also to the country. And one thing that we have accomplished when we were looking through the different aspects together with World Bank is to identify things that we can start implementing and not reinventing the wheels, but learn from the best practice and also adopting good standards. And we identified that by doing this, we will have a better way of accelerating deploying security through the government services and also to the private sectors. The first things that were happening in this project, we were looking at developing a digital strategy, which including aspects of cybersecurity. So there were a cybersecurity framework developed, and also a cybersecurity bill that is still going through for being enacted. And one of the other aspects that I think it was crucial for us, and I appreciate the assistance from the World Bank in establishing it, is the cybersecurity manual that we established for the nation. So this cybersecurity manual was established to provide strategic and practical guidance on how organizations in Tonga can protect their systems and data from cyber threats. In this manual, it talks about the different standards that we'll be adopting, standards for practice for best practice for information security controls, as well as information security risk management, and which are very crucial for us to focus on as we newly develop systems, as well as looking at the existing systems. How can we provide a secure environment for the systems? In the process of doing so, we have also empowering our different agencies, especially the CERT, for doing more threat intelligence, as well as risk awareness throughout the country and also to the government itself. Also in the process of developing in this space in Tonga, we were able to also develop a SOC team for the government, because we realized that we had developed a digital platform where all the government systems are sitting on, and every system are connected through a secure network. So a SOC team were introduced to the picture. So together with the CERT, the SOC team, it's more like focusing on monitoring of cyber threats, as well as developing aspects in regards to cybersecurity incidents recovery. And all these things have been developed because of the assistance that have been offered by the World Bank. And I think that has been one aspect. This is one aspect that we feel that has been accomplished, and we are looking forward that we can enforce it to ensure that we have a safer environment in the space of cybersecurity.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there anyone from Australia here? Because Australian government, for a generous contribution, made possible travel of a large delegation from the Pacific Islands. So we're very happy to hear the Pacific perspectives here, thanks to Australia here. All right, Andrew, we are starting to run out of time, but I'll ask you a quick question, and maybe if you can give me like a 1 minute answer if possible. Do you see any quick wins how to use regional cooperation in the Pacific to jointly address cybersecurity threats? Anything you could think of, like joint monitoring of cyber threats or whatever? How can we support regional cooperation in the Pacific on cybersecurity?
Thank you. I think there are lots of things that I think it will be beneficial from the Pacific, taking into account the geographic situations and also how the islands has been located. One thing that I think it will be crucial if we start looking at deploying our public and private partnership. As I was alluded before, because of the small population and the scarcity of human resources in the island, and also the speed that we are going in developing our people and the exposure to technology, I think it will be crucial also to be partner with in a regional level or maybe in a government level with the public enterprise if they have the capacity to carry on some of the activities that are very crucial to protecting our critical infrastructures. Other options that we're looking at is providing a pool of expertise throughout the region where we can shore resources and expertise from that pool. And the other thing is that I probably would be good to look at if we are looking at how we can procure equipment and stuff like that. If we do it in a regional level where we can leverage, the cost of providing or procuring a system where it can be shared across the Pacific region.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Excellent ideas. I'd like now to pass the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Taidur Rahman, who leads the e-government CERT in Bangladesh. He's the Chief Information Security Officer for the government. And Taidur, Bangladesh and World Bank have a long history of collaboration on digital transformation, including cybersecurity. For example, the e-government Computer Emergency Response Team was created back in 2012, and so it's already more than 10 years, which we've been, collaborating on this initiative. So today, Bangladesh is seen as a regional leader, and the CERT is considered a successful model. In fact, we are considering, I know Ghislaine is planning to interview you and other colleagues for another results note on the experience of Bangladesh CERT. So it shows that there is recognition already, growing recognition that this is a good model. Could you share what worked really well in the case of CERT in Bangladesh, and any lesson learned? Was there any impact of economic impact, social impact from the creating of the CERT in Bangladesh? Over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon, all. Firstly, I congratulate Ghana for their publication as well as the World Bank. And I'm starting with a simple short story. That was, I am doing my PCSS course in George C. Marshall in Garmisch. So that time I met someone and say, okay, I'm Tawhid, I'm from Bangladesh. Okay, Tawhid, Bangladesh. So your bank hacked. I said, no, bank hacked, that's not Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a big history. It has done a lot of things. We have a largest shoreline. We have export a lot. We have, our fruits are very good. We have a natural beauty also. This is Bangladesh, that is not Bangladesh. Yes, 2016, after bank haste, when SART established, we found the 5 barriers that is helped. That is technical capacity building, infrastructure development, policy and legal framework, awareness and outreach program, and international collaboration. And from that, we are working, and jointly, thanks to NRD that time worked with us, and we established our CSAT, and we found that not only the incident response is necessary, but some other things are necessary. For that, we established the sensor network for our critical infrastructure. First, we test our central bank, because via central bank, everyone knows to us. So, yes, everyone knows that haste, that 81 million gone. So after that, there is another thing happened, that is Operation Cosmos. This is another haste that is trying to hit the Southeast Asia and the Asian region. And somehow it is the holiday, and we get the information via that sensor network. And we said, okay, block it. And it happens the next day, the things happened in India, I guess. and some of the other Asian countries. And that's the success, because that was another big haste that is blocked by our sensor network. And from that sensor network, we find, yes, this is a good chance that we installed 15 sensors to our passport, immigration, our national airlines, our planning, water, power, and electricity grid. These are the areas we are installed the sensor to see that anything happened or not. Sensor are network sensors, so they can give us the early things that something happening or something try to happening. And after that, we found that we are doing a lots of things. We write a policy, but we need collaboration. So we collaborate with lots of CERT like FAST, APCERT, APWG, and the OIC, where everyone is very helpful. And we found we also need awareness raising. So we do the awareness raising with the law enforcement, the government, and then the public. And we divided it in three things: basic, intermediate, and the experts. So in basic area, we train all the CISOs, all the government big officials, because they are the decision makers. And in the middle, we give the training for all the ministries. And again, law enforcement, because law enforcement are the first line of defense, because they go to the field, they bring the things. And after that, the experts. And now, after that, you can see our national cybersecurity indexing. We see that Bangladesh is rising 27 steps ahead. And we are doing great. And thanks to World Bank.
In terms of the next stage of cooperation, what do you see as the #1 priority on cybersecurity between Bangladesh and development partners? How would you prioritize?
So I think, again, this is awareness and the new product development, because we are going digital, we are getting smart, so as the threat, because they are also getting smart. So in this area, we need the latest tools, techniques, and the ideas. These are the area we will be better.
Okay, thank you. Last but not least, we have our last panelist, all the way from Latin America, from the Dominican Republic. So we're moving far, far west in our global, around the kind of world panel. So Carlos Leonardo, as I said, is Director of National CSIRT in the Dominican Republic. And I would like to ask you a couple of questions too. So Carlos, the Dominican Republic has become a regional leader in cybersecurity recently. And National CSIRT was admitted as a full member of FIRST, a new cybersecurity legislation raised the bar on procurement standards for both private sector and public sector. And so national cyber capabilities need to be strengthened to meet these challenges quickly. So what has been the role of development assistance in supporting you in this journey? And any good practices you can share, anything that worked really well?
Yeah, thank you, Olet. Good afternoon, everyone. The bad news, the bad thing about being the last one is that everything has been said. So I will try to maintain very simple. In the context of the Dominican Republic, yeah, I would like to congrats the international cooperation, especially to World Bank, because you are doing a very good job helping us to change our mindset in terms of international cooperation. Because in the past, previously we used to see the international organization as only as a source for financial resource. However, today all of the international organizations, they are much more than that. Today, for example, the World Bank have a large group of very high professional with a lot of experience, like Giacomo that is here, that not only supports us in identify those needs, also to be more effective in the implementation and making use of those resources. In addition, also to execute those projects that generate key achievement within the digital agenda and the digital and the cybersecurity national strategy, together with other partners, of course. And I guess that in the case in Dominican Republic that we are executing a lot of several programs with assistance from international organizations, including the World Bank. And thank you. So I think the key in our case has been to the effectively coordination between the different donors, because you have a lot of offers and a lot of assistance programs, and a lot of needs into the country. And the key is to avoid to duplicate the different initiatives and the different projects that we are doing very well. Actually, today we are carrying out an evaluation with the support of the World Bank of our governance model. 5 years ago, the World Bank, together with other organizations, helped us to develop our national cybersecurity strategy, including our governance model. But today, 5 years after, we want to validate, because we know that we are doing very well the job in the internal job with the different partners and the other stakeholders, and we are every time telling to the world that we have an effective governance model. But today we need that stamp from the international organization, and as a result of all of that, we have presented important progress, not only in the national indicators, also in the international ones. The technical assistant has helped us to identify those key, as I say, those key indicators that have the real impact in the public policy at the national level. I guess I have another one.
I will ask you a quick follow-up question. And first, I'd like to also thank Organization for American States, who made the visit from delegation from Latin America possible, from our government partners, including Carlos. So thank you, OAS. And in fact, OAS suggested a follow-up question, which I'm going to ask you. What are the current funding gaps, to further take the cyber resilience agenda to the next level?
Yeah, definitely. I think we have those things that we have in common. All of us, we have a wish list, an Amazon wish list, maybe. Not only in assistance projects, also in technologies and tools and that. But I will keep it simple. Maybe in the different finance that we have in common in all the region. First of all, in the generation of the leadership in the high level, the collaboration and integration between the public and private sector, the international organization can help us to bring on board the private sector, the different companies that they can support also in the different projects, and of course in the development of those legal framework that we need. One of the projects that we are conducted with the support of the World Bank is the cybersecurity framework for the health sector and also for the government sector, and another one for the energy sector. So we are developing a lot of that documentation on legal framework. We are in that process. And of course, in the research and development from the academia and the social, the society, because that can help us to be more proactive facing the new cyber threats.
Thank you, Leonardo. I am afraid we're running out of time for Q&A because I think they want to set up the plenary room again, right? Patrick, is it correct? So probably have like maybe 5 minimum, maximum 10 minutes left. And I do want to ask my colleague Anat, who was listening very carefully, what we heard today from our distinguished country partners, to both share her takeaways. Please take the stage, both takeaways from today, but also from earlier challenges and needs you heard during the last 2 days. And how can the World Bank and other development partners support that? What are our tools and programs which we can offer? Thank you.
Thanks very much, Oleg. And if I could ask our colleagues in the back to please put the slides up, if they hear me, gentlemen. So first of all, I thought it was very poignant that we heard earlier that Dr. Albert thought that the most important thing was the championship and the governance and an institutional framework. Because from his perspective as an implementer, okay, like how many minutes do we have? 0? Okay. Okay. It's been very nice knowing you. I guess we need to close, or should I say a couple of my words? Okay, thank you. I see somebody is permissive, telling me I can continue. So what I meant to say was a very nice observation that Dr. Albert said the championship was important and the governance and institutional framework was important, and I heard that echoed in a number of the comments that you've said today, that it was important to get the governance right, the policies right, the institutional framework right. But I felt that it was very much from his perspective as an implementer, and my guess would be that if you were to ask the champion who they thought the most important element of this was, they would say the implementer. And if you ask those who are part of the institutional governance framework, who they thought would be the most important element of this would be the implementer. So I think it really is a marriage of all of these things, the championship, the right enabling environment and the right enabling framework, but then also all of those good people, like those in the room and those on stage here, who are the implementers, the unsung heroes of getting cybersecurity done. So we do have a presentation here to explain how the World Bank supports cybersecurity in countries. I believe we don't have time to go through that presentation. 7 minutes. Wow, this is getting better and better. Great. I feel like I'm in Las Vegas. I keep on winning more time. Can I go to the first slide, please? Great. So what we have here is a slide to really just explain to you where within the World Bank framework of thinking about development do we fit in with cybersecurity. So you see here that digital transformation is something that we need for sustainable, resilient, and inclusive development. And we've got a number of areas where we want to have digital use cases across sectors, and we want to have digital foundations. But really, all of those elements, as those on stage know very well, require safeguards, right? So in order to accelerate digital transformation, you need to do it safely. I think that was something that was mentioned earlier also by Dr. Albert. So the digital safeguards, which are cybersecurity and data protection, is really where we see cyber be part and parcel, an integral by design part and parcel. So we have 0 minutes, and then we're told we have 7 minutes. I'm sorry, do I close now or do I have a couple of minutes? 5 or 6 minutes. Beautiful, thank you. Thanks, Chris. So essentially, what we want to say is that cybersecurity, to us at the World Bank, from our perspective, is really an integral part of the digital economy and investing in the digital economy. Next slide, please. What are the instruments to support cybersecurity? I think you've heard some of them mentioned by our colleagues here on the stage. Probably you've heard many of us talk about them ad nauseum, but the bread and butter of the World Bank, being a bank, is financing, of course. So this is the financing in the form of grants that go to very, very low-income countries, loans that go to most countries, and there's also an agency at the bank that does guarantees to support digital investment projects and implement the policy reforms. So this is an actual loan. These are millions and millions of dollars that are invested. And cybersecurity is usually part of a digital development project, although increasingly we're going to have cybersecurity also part of some other sectoral projects, such as the energy sector, and I'm looking at my colleague Anders, who's sitting over there, who's one of our energy sector experts. So it really is a subcomponent as part of financing of many millions of dollars in the forms of loans to countries. We also really provide a lot of advisory services. So one of the differences about the work that we do versus obtaining the financing from the market or for somebody else, we have the subject matter experts, and those are some of the people on the team here, including my colleague Guilain de Salin, if you could raise your hand, my colleague Giacomo over here, who are some of our subject matter experts. Hagai, raise your hand please. And I should also say big shout out to Guilain for authoring the note that was published and launched and lauded today. So we provide advisory services on cybersecurity in addition to the financing. We also have a cybersecurity trust fund, and that is done together with a number of partners who pool resources in order for us to be able to then provide these advisory services. And the advisory services often are starting points where we provide diagnostics or assessments and other kinds of recommendations that then lead to a loan. The trust fund is one that's managed by us and it's implemented by us, and those services are executed by us, but they can be for countries, any country. So the countries essentially go to their task team leaders, their project managers at the bank. By countries, I don't unfortunately mean private sector or NGO. It really is just for governments, and they can tap into the trust fund to undertake activities. And we currently have a good $20 million of such activities that are active. And we started this trust fund just a few years ago, so we don't have a lot of activities that have been finalized yet, but we have a lot of activities that are underway, also in cybersecurity for other sectors, such as energy, transport, health, and others. We work quite a bit on knowledge products. You saw the Ghana results note that we did today, but we also brought with us this week a note on cyber skills development. So we are working. Others on the team have presented other of the knowledge products at the bank at different sessions. At this conference, Hagai presented our SDMM, our sectoral cybersecurity maturity model. My colleague Estefania, who may or may not be here, presented ongoing work on the economic rationale for cybersecurity, for investing in cybersecurity. So we really do quite a bit of research and analytics. I think that's what people expect of us. And then convening services, I think these are partnerships. This is when we get together, meetings of the minds, discussion amongst us to seed good ideas and to figure out, a lot of these other things, the advisory services and the knowledge products and the convening services are really to help us design the loans, to know with what analytical underpinnings and with what recommendations the loans are essentially going to be informed. Next slide, please. So this is the areas of support that we provide, with many thanks to my colleague Giacomo for putting this together. So you see here we've got a number of pillars: governance, risk management and critical information, infrastructure protection, incident response, skills development, industry and private sector, and cross-border cooperation. But also on the other side, it's quite small, so I'll tell you what it is. The first row is diagnostics, the second row is policy instruments, the third row is investments, and the last row is training. So you see here that there are lots of different things that we are happy to fund. Really, the bank is happy to fund and finance anything that you might need, with the exception of anything that supports military, intelligence, public safety. Anything of that sort is not in our mandate. But anything that really protects your economic well-being, the country's GDP, and the country's businesses. So anything from diagnostics, anything from CERT and SOC implementation, upgrades, anything that relates to skills development, center of excellence establishments, and many of the things that were mentioned by our partners on the stage here. Next slide, please. Here are some examples of support that's being provided to countries in West Africa. So I just want to highlight one since we're running out of time. You've heard quite a bit about Ghana already. Nigeria is where we have a digital ID project to support the government of Nigeria to enroll, I think, 260 million people in digital ID. And so that, of course, requires quite a bit of cybersecurity support. So here we're supporting the data protection and the cybersecurity of the digital ID system nationwide. Next slide, please. In East Africa, we've got some pretty substantive projects in Uganda and Rwanda, where you see here some of the details of the things that are being supported from institutional and policy frameworks all the way to technical and operational capabilities for incident response, capacity building, awareness raising programs, data protection, public awareness campaigns. As it goes, these are all the things that the bank is happy to fund, and we do so in a number of different areas. In Uganda, they're also interested in child online protection, and so that's something that's included there as well. Most countries want public awareness campaigns. They want training, and more training. If they have a law, sometimes they want it upgraded or amended. Most countries want to help their national cybersecurity team, department, unit, agency, whatever level of implementation it's at, to be strengthened or established. And in terms of incident response, the investment or the upgrade in a CERT and a SOC capacity with everything that entails, software, hardware, simulations, penetration tests, all of that can be supported. Next slide, please. There's just some data on how much we are lending right now. It's about $250 million across 50 countries. And you see here what the division of the number of countries in terms of the regions. So AFE is Africa East. That's in blue on the left and in orange on the right. AFW is Africa West and Central. So you see here that really most of the countries we're supporting presently are in Africa, and we're also supporting in East Asia and Pacific, Latin America, ECA. We're supporting the least in the Middle East and North Africa presently. And then in terms of the lending, you see sort of a similar picture. A lot of the lending is going to Africa, some to South Asia region, and some to Eastern Europe and Central Asia, and then Latin America. Next slide, please. I think I can skip this slide for the interest of time. This is really, the previous slide was really just an explanation of how the projects work. And I think that any government officials who are interested in discussing support can approach us, and we can help them with this. So let me close here, and I want to thank you all very much for your time. I want to thank our esteemed panelists very much. Thank you so much for sticking with us until one of the last sessions of the conference, and for sharing your insights and experience with us. I think we have some presents. I see here. Thanks very much. Oleg, if you could go ahead to provide the presents. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your conference.